The story opens in the early 19th century, where the world of science is brimming with discoveries waiting to be made. Joseph Henry is a brilliant, humble inventor and a man ahead of his time, largely forgotten by the history books despite his groundbreaking work. In his small, dimly lit laboratory, he wrestles with the mysteries of electricity and magnetism, not just as a scientist, but as someone who wants to change the world for the better. The documentary uses dramatic reenactments, with actors portraying Henry as a quiet, intense figure who spends sleepless nights experimenting with wire and batteries. Through vivid archival footage and scientific drawings, viewers are shown Henry's key discoveries in electromagnetism, the very principles that would go on to be the foundation for the telegraph and later the electrical industry. His experiments with electromagnets, particularly his creation of the first practical electric motor, were revolutionary, but his voice was never heard in the clamor for recognition. The twist emerges as the focus shifts to Samuel Morse, the man who would ultimately be credited with the invention of the telegraph. The documentary uncovers shocking letters, secret communications between Morse and his backers, revealing how Morse's rise to prominence was not a mere stroke of genius, but rather a calculated political maneuver. As Morse began to claim his invention, the powerful businessmen and politicians backing him orchestrated a campaign that would overshadow Henry's contributions. Henry's rivalry with Morse was bitter, though largely overshadowed by Morse's triumph. The tension in the documentary builds as archival diaries reveal Henry's deep frustration at being sidelined. He was aware that his work was being stolen, but his intellectual property was not protected. There's a heart-wrenching moment when a newly uncovered letter, written by Henry to a colleague, conveys his sadness at realizing his life's work would be claimed by others. The words resonate. "I did not ask for fame or fortune, only for the truth of my labor to stand." The emotional core of the episode builds to a powerful revelation, the real reason behind Morse's sudden rise to fame. The documentary uncovers letters from a secretive figure in the government, suggesting that powerful industrialists wanted to erase Henry's work, not because they didn't recognize his genius, but because they wanted to control the emerging industry of communication. By backing Morse and suppressing Henry, they could ensure that the telegraph became a tool of control, a means to manipulate national communication networks. In this conspiracy, Henry's more open, altruistic approach to communication was too radical, too democratic. Morse, a figure with ties to these influential groups, was a perfect front for their ambitions. The emotional tension reaches a boiling point as the film revisits the pivotal moment in history, the patenting of the telegraph. Through dramatic reenactments, viewers see Henry's anguish as he realizes his earlier designs, which were better and more refined, are about to be overshadowed. As Morse sends the first official telegraph, the message, "What hath God wrought?" Henry sits in his lab, quietly acknowledging that the world will never know the true origin of this invention. In the final twist, as the documentary begins to piece together the political and corporate web that led to Henry's erasure, it becomes clear that his role in the story of the telegraph wasn't just overlooked. It was intentionally buried. Powerful figures, eager to control the flow of information, manipulated the narrative, ensuring that the truth of Henry's genius would remain hidden for over a century. The episode closes with a haunting reflection. Joseph Henry's name might not be remembered in the textbooks, but his legacy reverberates through the very inventions that transformed the modern world, hidden in the quiet currents of history, shaping the future without ever receiving credit.
The episode opens on a foggy night in the late 19th century, where a lone figure stands in the dim light of a laboratory, hunched over a complex machine. Nikola Tesla, a name synonymous with genius, begins to come to life on screen, depicted as a deeply eccentric man, driven by visions of a future where alternating current, AC, powers the world. His passion is palpable, and his focus unshakable. As Tesla gazes at his experimental equipment, the documentary subtly reveals a man who is not just a brilliant inventor, but one deeply misunderstood by his peers. Tesla's vision of the world is shown to be far ahead of its time, with dramatic recreations of his experiments involving electricity lighting up the dark, storm-ridden skies. The voiceover paints him as a lone wolf, working tirelessly in solitude to create a new way to power the world. Alternating current, which could deliver electricity over vast distances. At the time, the electrical industry was still dominated by direct current DC systems, a model championed by Thomas Edison. As the episode unfolds, the tension builds, with an emotional depth that reveals the underlying personal and professional conflict between Tesla and Edison. Through reenactments, the rivalry between the two is framed not as a simple battle of technologies, but as a deep moral and philosophical difference. Edison, portrayed as a calculating businessman, is shown using his power, wealth, and influence to push his DC model, an inferior but more profitable system. Tesla, on the other hand, is an idealist more interested in the pursuit of knowledge and the advancement of society. The documentary then introduces a powerful and unexpected twist. George Westinghouse, a lesser-known industrialist, emerges as the pivotal figure who not only supported Tesla, but became the unsung hero of this technological revolution. Archival documents reveal a previously hidden collaboration between Tesla and Westinghouse, with Westinghouse quietly investing in Tesla's vision for AC. Through a series of letters, Tesla's admiration for Westinghouse becomes clear, though Tesla's gratitude is tempered by his growing realization that his contributions may never be fully acknowledged. The emotional heart of the episode comes when the personal toll on Tesla is revealed. Letters between Tesla and his early supporters, including his mentor, Robert Underwood Johnson, paint a picture of a man deeply isolated, never fully embraced by society despite his brilliance. He is portrayed as not only an inventor but an outsider, someone whose unorthodox ways and disregard for personal gain made him difficult for others to understand. A voice-over of Tesla's own words underscores this theme. "I do not care for money or fame. My invention is for humanity. But what is humanity to do when they do not even understand my gift?" The true depth of the betrayal comes in the next twist. Thomas Edison, in a ruthless campaign to protect his DC system, launches a smear campaign against Tesla's AC system. Archive footage reveals how Edison publicly discredits AC, going as far as to conduct gruesome public demonstrations in which he electrocutes animals to show the dangers of alternating current. This calculated move, meant to destroy Tesla's reputation and stop AC from spreading, is a painful moment in the episode, with dramatic reenactments showing the emotional toll on Tesla, but then a bombshell revelation. Tesla and Westinghouse's partnership goes beyond just a professional alliance. The documentary uncovers a secret love affair between Tesla and a wealthy socialite, Katherine Johnson, an influential woman who played a crucial role in financing Tesla's experiments. In a letter revealed late in the episode, Tesla confides his deepest feelings for her, though his emotional vulnerability is never returned, as Katherine's affections were divided, and the love affair was kept hidden for reasons of social and financial propriety. Her role as both a benefactor and emotional anchor is explored, adding a layer of tragic romance to Tesla's lonely pursuit of innovation. The final twist in the episode occurs when Tesla's tragic end is revealed, not just in terms of his financial ruin, but in how the world he built was gradually taken from him. Archival documents show that Edison, having successfully suppressed AC for years, was eventually overshadowed by the very same forces that helped Tesla rise to fame. In the final moments, the documentary reveals that Tesla's patents were lost in bureaucratic wrangling, and his groundbreaking contributions to AC were quietly reattributed to Edison's company under the guise of improvement. The closing moments are powerful. We see a frail, elderly Tesla in his final years, wandering New York City, his mind still buzzing with ideas, yet forgotten by the world. In a voiceover, Tesla's final words echo through the somber music. "I have created the future, but I fear I will never see it." As the screen fades to black, the haunting question lingers. How many brilliant minds were lost to history because they dared to challenge the status quo?
The episode opens with an alluring yet tragic image. Hedy Lamarr, the glamorous Hollywood actress, effortlessly captivating the world with her beauty and charm. The bright lights of Hollywood shine down on her, and the camera lingers on her iconic screen roles, portraying her as the quintessential movie star of the 1940s. But the glitz of her cinematic fame serves only as a veneer for a much darker, hidden truth. Hedy Lamarr, it turns out, was more than just a pretty face. She was a genius inventor whose contributions changed the course of modern communication, though her brilliance would be overshadowed for decades. Through intimate reenactments, viewers are taken inside Lamarr's private life, where the actress's restless mind was constantly thinking beyond the silver screen. While many know her for her role in Algiers, 1938, and as the most beautiful woman in the world, few are aware that she was also a deeply curious inventor who, in her downtime, would sketch complex engineering designs. Early in the episode, we learn of Lamarr's creation of frequency-hopping technology, a revolutionary idea that would later become the foundation for technologies like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. In one powerful moment, we see her sketching her first designs, with dramatic music building tension as the significance of her work becomes apparent. She was not just an actress, but a woman ahead of her time, thinking about the future of communications. But then comes the twist. Lamarr's invention, which she developed in collaboration with composer George Antheil in 1941, was largely ignored and dismissed by the U.S. military during World War II. The technology they devised, designed to prevent enemies from jamming radio signals, crucial for military communications, was ahead of its time, but it was rejected by the military establishment, who saw it as impractical. The documentary reveals secret wartime memos and declassified documents, showing how military officials initially scoffed at Lamarr's idea, dismissing it as a fantastical invention with no real-world application. Through a series of emotional reenactments, we see Lamarr, increasingly frustrated and desperate for recognition, trying to convince military officials and engineers of the importance of her work. She is shown walking into government offices, tirelessly pitching her idea, only to be turned away, her intellect undermined by her Hollywood persona. She even attempts to leverage her star power, but the government remains indifferent to her contributions. The tension intensifies as the documentary paints a clear picture. Lamarr's genius was being deliberately ignored, not because of her work's merits, but because of who she was, a woman, and a woman from Hollywood at that. The documentary highlights the prevailing sexist attitudes of the era and how Lamarr's fame worked against her when it came to being taken seriously as an inventor. As the episode delves deeper, a scandalous love triangle is revealed that adds another layer of intrigue. Hedy's personal life, already complex due to her multiple marriages, becomes even more entangled when her relationship with her controlling ex-husband, Friedrich Mandl, is explored. Mandl, a wealthy Austrian arms dealer, is shown to have actively suppressed Hedy's work and manipulated her creative efforts for his own gain, hiding her true potential behind the curtain of their marriage. Archive footage shows her struggle to escape his domineering influence, and the documentary delves into the psychological toll this relationship had on her. In one particularly dramatic scene, it's revealed that Mandl's connections in the military played a key role in shutting down Lamarr's invention, as it posed a direct threat to his lucrative arms dealings. The affair with a high-ranking military official who later tried to capitalize on her ideas further complicates the narrative, making Lamarr's genius an even harder secret to uncover. But the most shocking twist comes when Lamarr's invention is finally recognized decades after the fact. In the 1990s, as wireless technologies begin to emerge, Lamarr's frequency-hopping technology is rediscovered, and she is posthumously credited as one of the key pioneers of modern communication. The episode builds to a dramatic, triumphant conclusion as Lamarr's patent is finally acknowledged. But it's bittersweet. She never saw the recognition she deserved, having spent the latter part of her life in obscurity, dealing with financial struggles and living with the scars of her career as an inventor being erased from history. The emotional weight of the episode crescendos as Lamarr's personal journal is uncovered, showing the deep pain she experienced over being constantly overlooked by a society that valued her beauty but not her intellect. In her final years, the documentary reveals a broken woman who, despite her brilliance, was still waiting for the world to see her for who she truly was. In one final letter to a close friend, Lamarr writes, "I never asked for glory, only for my work to be seen." The episode closes with a reflection on how her legacy has finally been reclaimed, but not without the tragic knowledge that it took a lifetime for her genius to be acknowledged. In a poignant final shot, we see Lamarr's name etched in the history of technological innovation, not as a beautiful actress, but as a woman whose mind helped shape the digital age.
The episode opens with the bright blue skies of the early 20th century, where the world was on the brink of aviation history. But beneath the soaring achievements of famous aviators, there was a hidden figure, Bessie Coleman, a woman whose daring ambition would change aviation forever. Through stunning visuals and heartfelt narration, the episode sets the stage for Bessie's monumental achievement, becoming the first African-American woman to hold a pilot's license, a feat that not only defied racial and gender expectations, but also set the groundwork for the diversity that would eventually follow in the field of aviation. The documentary opens by painting the racial climate of the time. Bessie, born in 1892 in Texas, came from humble beginnings, growing up in a segregated society where African Americans faced systemic oppression. Reenactments bring her early struggles to life, working long hours in a cotton field, her determination to learn despite racial barriers, and her dreams of flying. But it's in a pivotal moment of her life where viewers first witness her burning passion. A young Bessie, with wide eyes full of wonder, stands beneath the wings of a flying plane, and for the first time, she dares to dream of soaring through the air herself. But then, the twist. As we move into her adult life, the documentary uncovers that Bessie's career in aviation was not one of lone triumph, but was deeply entwined with Amelia Earhart's rise to fame. Through newly uncovered letters and photographs, we learn that Bessie Coleman was an inspiration to Amelia. Her courageous and groundbreaking path made Earhart's own achievements possible. In a heartfelt moment, we see a letter from Amelia to a mutual friend, confessing how deeply she admired Bessie and how Bessie's trailblazing spirit fueled her own ambitions. Yet the documentary quickly shifts the focus to an explosive revelation. Bessie's role in the aviation community was systematically erased. Through archival footage, we see Bessie's rising fame as she performed in air shows and attracted widespread attention. But just as the world was about to recognize her achievements, a shocking letter from an aviation insider reveals that Bessie's role in shaping the aviation field was deliberately downplayed. The letter hints at a conspiracy within the aviation community to keep Bessie from the spotlight, choosing instead to elevate the image of white male aviators like Earhart, who were easier to market to the public. The true conspiracy is revealed when Bessie started to gain recognition in the 1920s. A quiet but concerted effort was made to suppress her contributions. Documentary research uncovers a clandestine agreement between powerful members of the aviation industry. Prominent white male aviators, military figures, and industry moguls who worked behind the scenes to downplay her achievements. We learn that Bessie's flight records and accomplishments were often relegated to the background in favor of white aviators, with the aviation world looking for an image that fit a more acceptable mold to the public. The episode reveals a key moment when Bessie attempted to open an aviation school for African Americans, only to be met with fierce resistance. Archival materials and previously unreleased documents show how the aviation industry blocked her from securing necessary funds and partnerships. In a heartbreaking reenactment, Bessie's dream of mentoring a new generation of African-American aviators is crushed as she is systematically denied the resources to make her vision a reality. But then, an astonishing twist. A long-lost relative of Bessie's, her great-niece, unearthed a hidden manuscript from Bessie's personal journals. The manuscript, which had been passed down through the family but never publicly shared, revealed a touching relationship between Bessie and Amelia Earhart. The letters detail a profound friendship between the two pioneers, one that was not just based on mutual admiration, but also a shared vision of diversifying aviation. Earhart, in private correspondence, admitted that her early career was supported by Bessie's mentorship, although this was a bond that Earhart would later distance herself from in the public eye. The documentary uncovers the painful truth. Earhart, once a confidant and close friend, distanced herself from Bessie as Amelia's career took off, aligning with the very forces that erased Bessie's contributions from history. But just as we are led to believe that the truth may never be revealed, a final, shocking twist arrives. In a climactic scene, a descendant of a powerful aviation mogul, the one who helped cover up Bessie's role in aviation history, comes forward with a bombshell. The descendant presents documents proving that a coordinated effort was made by aviation insiders to preserve the image of a white, male-dominated aviation industry by erasing Bessie's contributions. The documents, full of shocking revelations, show that Bessie's name was quietly omitted from aviation records in favor of Earhart and others, who were viewed as more marketable. The emotional climax of the episode is an emotional tribute to Bessie Coleman's legacy. The documentary uses a montage of photos, video footage, and reenactments to show how her story was obscured for so long, but how it is now being rediscovered. As the music swells, the final scenes reveal Bessie's true place in aviation history. Not only as a trailblazer for women and African Americans, but as a foundational figure who helped shape the skies we know today. The episode concludes with a somber yet triumphant final reflection. Bessie Coleman did not fly into obscurity. She soared into history. And now, after decades in the shadow, her story will fly into the light.
The episode opens with a shot of an old dusty office, a sea of paperwork, ink-stained fingers, and the rhythmic clacking of keys. In the heart of this world lies a game-changing invention, often taken for granted, the typewriter. While most of us use it every day without a second thought, the story behind its creation is one filled with competition, betrayal, and a truly forgotten genius. That genius, Christopher Latham Sholes, the man whose name, despite his revolutionary contribution, has been largely overshadowed by commercial forces. The camera zooms in on an old worn-out typewriter sitting on a desk, and the narration begins. In the 1860s, Christopher Latham Sholes created the first commercially successful typewriter, an invention that forever changed the world of writing, business, and communication. But while the typewriter would go on to become a staple in offices around the globe, Sholes' role in its success would soon be buried under a tide of corporate greed, rivalry, and legal battles. Through reenactments, we trace Sholes' life from his early days as a printer and inventor in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Sholes was a meticulous and driven man, obsessively tinkering with his designs in his small workshop. The episode delves into his painstaking development of the QWERTY keyboard, a layout designed to prevent the mechanical arms of the typewriter from jamming, an essential innovation that would make the typewriter functional and efficient. But as Sholes' vision began to take shape, a twist reveals the dark undercurrents of corporate rivalry that were about to consume his hard-earned invention. The documentary uncovers patent records, revealing how Sholes was not alone in the race to invent the typewriter. He had collaborated with two other inventors, Samuel Morse and Carlos Glidden, to create the first workable model. However, just as success seemed within reach, a powerful rival company, Remington & Sons, entered the picture. It was this company, already established in the arms industry, that saw the potential to monopolize the new typewriter market. A dramatic reenactment shows Sholes and his partners meeting with Remington representatives, only for their dreams to be dashed. In exchange for funding and manufacturing support, Sholes and his team reluctantly handed over the rights to their design. As the camera cuts to the ruthless faces of the Remington executives, we see that the true cost of this deal was not just money. It was the erasure of Sholes' name from the invention that would go on to change the world. The twist deepens as the documentary uncovers a court battle that Sholes fought against Remington in the 1870s, after the company took full control of the patent. Through court documents, we see how Remington, under the guise of a business partnership, manipulated the system to take credit for Sholes' work. The company not only stole Sholes' design, but made sure that his contribution was buried beneath the weight of their commercial success. A heart-wrenching reenactment shows Sholes, now an older man, watching from the sidelines as his typewriter is mass-produced and sold under the Remington name, his once promising invention now stripped of its true inventor. But here's the shocking twist. The story of the legal battle gets even murkier. The documentary reveals that a powerful family, owners of Remington, actively conspired to suppress Sholes' legacy. Through newly discovered correspondence and diaries, we learn that the Remington family used backdoor deals to push Sholes into obscurity. Sholes' lawsuit against the company is dismissed in court, not because of a lack of merit, but because Remington had secretly bribed legal officials and employed political pressure to squash his claim. The episode also reveals a key detail that Sholes' story was buried in favor of a smooth, more marketable narrative. As Remington's typewriter became the office standard, the company marketed its own story, rebranding the typewriter as a product of American ingenuity, even though Sholes, in overlooked genius, was the true force behind its design. A deep dive into advertisements and press clippings from the late 1800s shows how Remington worked tirelessly to erase Sholes' name and ensure they retained full control of the commercial market. But then, the most explosive twist, a hidden letter from Sholes' daughter is discovered, revealing Sholes' personal anguish over the loss of credit for his invention. The letter, which had been passed down through generations, offers a rare insight into Sholes' final years. In it, Sholes writes, "The world will know what I've done, even if I do not see it. The keys I have invented will speak for me." The documentary takes a poignant turn as the camera shows a modern-day tribute to Sholes, an exhibit dedicated to his legacy, long after his name was buried under layers of corporate greed. His contribution to communication is now, slowly but surely, being recognized. Experts in the field of invention speak about Sholes' profound influence on office work and business practices. Through interviews and historical analysis, the episode highlights how his invention revolutionized the workplace, allowing for faster communication and boosting productivity across the globe. In the final moments, the episode turns to Sholes' ultimate redemption, as typewriter collectors, historians, and inventors alike gather to honor his work. The camera pans over modern offices, where typewriters may be obsolete, but their legacy remains. The closing line of the episode reads, "Christopher Latham Sholes may have lost his name in the battle for invention, but his genius, carved into the very fabric of modern communication, lives on."